Cambridge International is the world's largest provider of international education programs and qualifications for 5 to 19-year-olds, from primary through to secondary and up to university.
It's just taught me to learn independently and to research independently and to think on my own and based on my own initiative.
We offer world-class international education through high-quality curriculum, assessments and support for teachers.
What I find attractive in what I might call the Cambridge approach is that, first of all, there is content, but there is a primary emphasis on the analysis of the content, and maybe most importantly, being expressive about the content, being able to communicate it.
We're a not-for-profit organisation and a part of the University of Cambridge. We share the same educational values and the university's commitment to excellence in education. Our qualifications are internationally recognised by the world's universities and employers, providing learners with a global passport to success. To find out how we can work together, contact our customer services team.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this presentation on the Cambridge International A-Level stream for our grade 11s entering 2023. I'm Graham Crease. I'm the interim academic head at St Andrews College, and I'm also the head of A-Levels. And so I'll be running the presentation. We do have a number of our A-level teachers online, as well as Dr. Gens, who's the head of academics at DSG. So they will be on hand if we need anyone else to answer any questions. I'm going to kick off and do a fairly short presentation on what the A-Levels involves and how it works. And then there will be plenty of time for questions and answers. And you're welcome to post your questions in the chat room. And we will get to those at the end of the presentation. Okay, so first of all, what is Cambridge Assessment International Education? It is the world's largest provider of international education programs and qualifications. It's also known as Cambridge International for short, and it's internationally recognized for its high standards. Cambridge International A-Levels are considered to be the equivalent of the UK A-Levels. They're recognized for entry into over 1,400 universities worldwide, including all UK universities, all USA Ivy League universities. And just some stats there. A survey of university admissions tutors a few years ago at the world's universities said 98%, or 98% of them rather, said Cambridge programs give students excellent preparation for university and help them to succeed at university. And all of them said Cambridge students think logically, present coherent arguments, and have in-depth subject knowledge. In the study in the USA, they found that Cambridge students were more likely to enroll in university. They showed a strong preference for highly selective institutions, and they tended to graduate more quickly than other students. The Dean of Admissions at MIT said that Cambridge students are very well prepared for our curriculum, and we find that they have a lot of confidence, but also that they have good, deep subject knowledge and the ability to think critically. And the Dean of Undergraduate Admissions at Duke University in the USA said that Cambridge International AS and A-Levels prepare students well for university, because they've learned to go into a subject in considerable depth. There's that ability to really understand the depth and richness and detail of a subject. So that is really what Cambridge International AS and A-Levels are all about. It's about advanced study in areas of particular interest. You do fewer subjects on the A-level program, but you do them in more depth. They develop deep subject knowledge, conceptual understanding, and higher order thinking skills. And in order to succeed in Cambridge A-Levels, a strong work ethic and the ability to work independently is absolutely crucial. It's structured as a 2-year course with the AS level in the first year, the AS level being the first half of the A level, which you extend to in the second year. So what are we offering? We are offering pupils the opportunity to take a full A-levels course instead of the IEB matric in grades 11 and 12. So this is not an add-on, this is an alternative. The reason that we're doing that is it's actually threefold. I've only got two of them here. Firstly, to allow our pupils who want to study overseas the opportunity to apply for and be accepted to the top international universities of their choice. It's to stretch and enrich our pupils academically through more advanced, rigorous, and in-depth study in areas of particular interest. And it's probably fair to say as well as for pupils who intend to remain in South Africa, it's to give them a competitive edge once they're accepted at the university of their choice in South Africa. The question then is it better than the IEB matric? And the answer I must be very clear about is no. It's very important to emphasize that they are both highly regarded worldwide and they are not mutually exclusive. They do serve different purposes. A-levels are more focused, you do fewer subjects and more depth, and they provide easier access to international universities, only because international universities know what they are. IEB matric, on the other hand, is broader. You do more subjects and not as much depth, and they're more suitable for applying for South African universities. However, you can certainly go overseas with an IEB matric to many, many universities overseas, and similarly, you can go to all South African universities with A-levels. Right, the structure of the A-level stream. In grade 11, pupils, as a general rule, choose 4 AS level subjects and 1 IGCSE, and those are chosen to fulfill South African university exemption requirements. Those exemption requirements are based on the AS levels, which means that should you get the required results in grade 11, you actually already meet the South African exemption requirements. That is 4 AS levels, plus an IGCSE in a second language. That is what is acceptable for exemption. Pupils who are strong academically may have the option to take a 5th AS level subject, so to do 5 AS levels and 1 IGCSE. Pupils who are considering studying medicine should certainly consider this. And foreign students, those who have immigrant status currently, may drop that IGCSE if they wish to. Those not planning on studying in South Africa at all can choose any 4 AS levels from any of the 4 of the 6 options that we offer. And then in grade 12, pupils take 3 A levels chosen from the AS levels that they took in grade 11. And again, the strongest academic pupils may have the option to take a 4th A level. I don't usually recommend that unless it's something like further maths as an additional A level. It's very important to emphasize this. There are minimum entry requirements for the A-level stream. The transition from grade 10 to A-levels is challenging. People who change to the A-level stream find grade 11 in particular hard. And so there is a 70% aggregate in the grade 10 mid-year exams as a minimum entry requirement for the A-level stream. In certain cases, we will give consideration to those who miss that 70% aggregate narrowly. But we are going to be relatively strict on that. Our experience shows that those who don't make the 70% aggregate don't often do well on the A-level stream. And then there would also be some subject-specific entry requirements. For example, if you want to do physics or chemistry, you really need to be doing well in physical science in grade 10. Maybe just to highlight that as well, it's a very fair comment to say that poor results in A-levels are of less value than a good IEB matric pass, even overseas. And I think that should be a fairly obvious comment to make. We write all our Cambridge exams in the October-November exam session, so the exams coincide pretty closely with our own exams, the IEB exams and also our internal exams. They tend to be slightly earlier, so they start in early October and end by mid-November, but they certainly are over roughly the same time period. The academic day remains the same for those doing A-levels, so the subjects will be timetabled similarly to IEB subjects, but certainly not the same. And one of the things that is definitely useful for A-level pupils is that they will have free periods available, which they can use for tutorials or they can use for independent work in the library to keep ahead. And then in grade 12, there are more lessons timetabled because there are fewer subjects. And so again, there'll be lots of free periods available as well to work, to do independent work in the library and to keep ahead of the work that's required. It's also maybe just important at this point to say that a key part of the A-level stream is that the boys and girls remain a full part of the life of the school. They still take part in extramural activities, they still take part in sports, they still take part in house events, like everybody else. Academic time is academic time, but extramural time is still extramural time as well. They also remain part of their house tutor groups. We don't pull them out of anything. They need to be a full part of their house group. We do have A-level tutor meetings on occasion just to keep the group together and to talk about particular issues that are relevant to the A-level stream only. Right, these are the subjects that we are going to be in a position to offer in grade 11 in 2023. And as I said, the normal route is for pupils to take 5 subjects, 1 from each of options 1, 2, and 3, and then at least 2 from options 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to run through these options with you. First of all, English language and literature is compulsory unless you are an immigrant student who is not intending to study at a South African university at all. Then you don't have to do it, but it's strongly recommended. The same applies to option 2, Afrikaans, French, or Zulu are the 3 subjects that we offer. I need to explain the Zulu very carefully. The reason that we are offering Zulu as an IGCSE is because Cambridge, unfortunately, does not offer isiXhosa as a subject. And what that means is obviously we cannot offer it then because there is no Cambridge exam. We can't mix and match when it comes to exam bodies. So if somebody comes in and they want to do the A-levels program and they want to remain eligible for a South African university, they need to choose one of those subjects. And so the easiest one to convert to, if you are fluent in Xhosa, is to convert to Zulu. It's not the same language by any means, but it is something that is definitely possible. And we've seen our pupils find success in doing that. Option 3 is mathematics, which is compulsory. There is an option out there to take biology instead of mathematics. So to do biology in option 4, and that covers the requirement for mathematics. However, we would suggest that that is very carefully considered and that you look at university and faculty requirements very carefully before you choose that option. To go into university without any mathematics on your school leaving certificate is quite a dangerous thing to do. Then in option 4, we would definitely have biology and economics. And then the other 2 subjects there would be subject to interest in those subjects, and they would also potentially move to another option if that suited people better. So music is definitely there as an option, and also marine science, particularly for those who've been taking it in grade 10 as an 8th subject, or even those who are interested in it and haven't been taken as an 8th subject, it is there as an option. In option 5 would be chemistry, definitely, and then most probably history and art and design, but there's a chance that we might move those as well if that's the demand from everyone applying. And then in option 6, we would definitely have physics, and then geography or drama, again, probably in those options, but possibly could also be swapped with history, for example. So those are the subjects that we offer. Options 4, 5, and 6, the norm is to choose 2. Some people may choose 3. For example, if you deciding to follow a path to take medicine, you would probably want to do biology, chemistry, and physics. And for pupils not wanting to meet South African exemption requirements, you could be taking any 4 from those options 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. Sorry, options 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. What we don't offer at this stage, and what we won't consider except in extraordinary circumstances, and that would probably mainly be in option 2 if there was a language that somebody wanted to do, we will not allow any subjects that are not offered as part of this range. And the reason for that is for the integrity of the course. We can't really vouch for a teacher or a tutor or somebody to teach something at the level that A-level is in a subject that we're not offering. Here are some more things to consider about the A-level stream. Pupils should consider the A-level stream if they're intending to study overseas after school, or they would prefer to study fewer subjects in greater depth in grade 12. And you should continue with the IEB matric if you intend to study at a South African university after school and you're concerned that you might struggle with the added rigor and depth of the A-level courses. Also very important to note that there is an extra cost attached to taking the A-level stream. This is to partially cover the operational costs associated with offering the A-level stream. The cost this year was 18,000 Rand or 6,000 Rand per term, and it will be of a similar order next year. So that please is something to bear in mind. And then once pupils have started on the A-level stream, they will not be able to change back to the IEB matric. And we really do need to emphasize this. There is no going back once you are signed up. The reason for that is to try and catch up. 6 subjects on the IEB is going to put you very far on the back foot on the IEB stream. Also, we do a lot of planning in preparation for the A-levels and for the IEB classes in grade 11 every year. And if we have the class sizes changing dramatically all the time because people are wanting to jump back and forth between courses, it's actually not something that we can absorb very easily. So once pupils have started on the A-level stream, they will not be able to change back to the IEB matric. Subjects are offered subject to sufficient demand. That would mainly be those subjects with asterisks. And I wouldn't worry too much about this one, where there's a maximum number of places. The top candidates based on previous academic performance would be allocated places in that subject. That's, for example, if we suddenly had 30 people wanting to do A-level physics and we only have 20 places, we would take the top 20 academically for physics. I know that there's a maths extension class in grade 10, and it is important to emphasize that it is not a requirement for the A-level stream. All content for S-level maths rather in grade 11 will be covered in grade 11. So the content, particularly in the grade 10 extension class, is mainly focused on what is covered for the South African NBTs. Those are the national benchmarking tests for South African universities. And that is very easy to catch up once you're doing A-level maths, which we would do. The teachers taking the A-level subjects, all of our subjects now, not most, all of our subjects have experienced A-level teachers already, and all A-level teachers have completed extra training through Cambridge. They are all very much on board and well experienced and know exactly what they're doing in their A-level subjects. Right, the grade 11 year, as I said earlier, is particularly challenging, and that's one big change that we are going to be doing for next year, or in fact for this year, for the A-level stream. We are going to be starting next year's A-level program for 2023 after third term, half term in grade 10. So what that means is that next year's grade 11 group will start A-levels on the 11th of October 2022. They will have a month of A-level lessons, and that will get them well into their courses. It will get them a month ahead. They will not write the grade 10 exams at the end of the year. Their promotion marks will be based on their mid-year exams, and they will then go on journey with everyone else once everyone else has written exams. And that should be of massive advantage to everybody doing A-levels next year in terms of getting ahead and being in a really good position to perform well at the end of the grade 11 year with the AS levels. Successful A-level candidates. These are the attributes of a successful A-level candidate. So if this describes you, or this is something that you think you could be, then you are likely to be a good A-level candidate. You need to have a very strong work ethic and the ability to work independently. That is crucial. You have to have self-discipline, determination, and resilience. You have to have obviously an excellent academic ability and critical thinking skills. And you need a deep interest in the subjects that you're going to take at A-level. Some advantages of taking A-levels is that it's internationally recognized as the premier university entrance qualification. The A-level qualification streamlines the process for admission to overseas universities because all overseas universities know what they are. Pupils benefit from in-depth, rigorous university-style approach to learning, and it gives you a head start in tertiary education in South Africa as well. Some possible disadvantages of A-levels. Firstly, you need to choose your subjects very carefully to ensure your matric exemption and also to meet specific faculty requirements in South Africa. So So you need to do your research first if you're intending to study in South Africa to find out what it is that you need. The entry requirements using A-levels to South African universities tend to be more challenging than for the NSC. Often with the AS levels, although you can get a university exemption, you won't meet the points requirements yet, and you will need your A-levels, your A-level results to get you over the threshold in terms of the points. And as I've said before, the step up from grade 10 to AS levels in grade 11 is challenging. There's a big leap in the level of depth and complexity that is required. The results of A-level exams are released about 2 weeks into January every year, and that shouldn't be a problem, as most universities, certainly in this country and definitely overseas, will offer their provisional acceptance based on your AS level results or on the predicted grades that we provide for your A levels halfway through the grade 12 year. And then we need the decision on whether you're going to do A levels by the end of this term. And the reason for that is very important. We need to finalize the classes, and most importantly, we need to order the books. And the books in most cases come from the UK. They take a while to get here. And if we're going to be starting on the 11th of October, we need to be able to order those books as early as possible. Just some achievements of some of our A-level students from previous years. Our A-level pass rate for grade 12 remains at 100%. In 2020, 98% of our A-level results were A star to C, A star being in 90% or above. 94% of students achieved A star to C across all their subjects. More than 3/4 of our A-level results in 2020 were over 80%. That included 38% A stars. Last year, it was about 30% A stars, so still very good. All our results in 2020 for A-level biology, chemistry, and English literature were distinctions. And we could say the same about further mathematics last year. We've had Michael Veloso being accepted to Oxford University on the basis of his A-level results. He's there now studying a PPE. Matthew Schaefer was accepted to study mechanical engineering at Imperial College. He chose to turn that down in the end. Hayden John is at the moment at the University of Cape Town studying medicine, although he was accepted at the University of St Andrews in Scotland. Jane Stadler was the top in South Africa for AS level chemistry in 2020. In 2021, he was also accepted to Imperial College London to study computer science. So we've had a lot of success already with our previous A-level groups. Here are some advantages of taking A-levels according to some of our previous students. They say the work is interesting, relevant, and engaging. There's fewer subjects, so it's more specialized. You get to immerse yourself in what you really enjoy. If you apply yourself, it's not too difficult. You really do have to apply yourself though. So I think to say everyone does it in the UK is probably not really fair. You really do have to apply yourself to do it well. It gives you more independence. You have free periods. You get used to working independently. So when they had online learning during COVID, that really wasn't a problem for them. They were used to working independently. The exams are generally shorter. So IEB exams tend to be 3 hours. The longest Cambridge exam that you'll write is 2 1/4, and most of them are usually under 2 hours. There's lots of easily accessible resources online because it's an international course. Some of the classes are small, but not all of them are, so you still get to be in big classes. There are good experienced teachers. There's easier access to overseas universities, and for some of them, they really love the idea of writing off the first additional language in grade 11. In the booklet that I sent you, all of these links are there as well. So there's plenty of information available out there. And I can provide plenty more if you need it as well. You're welcome to email me for more information or come and talk to me. And you can speak to any current or former A-level students or teachers, and they will tell you all about their subjects as well. And so with that, I'm available to answer any questions.
Hi, Graham. I hope you can hear me well. I'm just going to read some questions from the chat for you.
Thank you, Petra.
Is the school considering IGCSE given the advantage of the Cambridge system? I'm assuming this is in grade 10 level.
It is something that we have been giving some thought to, but it certainly wouldn't be happening anytime soon, because to make a change to IGCSE in grade 10 is going to cause quite a lot of upheaval in our in our current academic structures, and well, it would have to be grade 9 and 10 to do it properly. So at this stage, we don't have the capacity to do that, but it is something that we're consistently looking at, but it won't happen soon.
Why are the subjects fewer than IEB? Doesn't that limit their career choice when they go to university?
All of the subjects that are there are, I mean, there's enough of a range there that you can choose. It won't affect any university entrance. Remember that when you do A-levels, you're only choosing 3 subjects as opposed to 6 subjects. And so you're naturally going to have fewer subjects anyway. The subjects that we offer, first of all, cover all the entry requirements for South African universities, and provided you choose your A-levels carefully, will cover you for any overseas university requirements as well. There's nothing that you will be short of if you choose the right subjects out of those.
And if one is not wanting to sort of specialize in depth early, I imagine that the IEB broader curriculum would maybe be a better choice if you really are unsure about your career path ultimately.
Absolutely. Just remember, there aren't that many gatekeeper subjects, as it were. I mean, it's the sciences and it's the English and the maths mainly.
Then would there be a situation whereby IGCSE classes and A-level classes are taught in the same period by the same teacher, or is the curriculum completely different, therefore requiring dedicated teaching staff?
The curriculum is completely different, so A-level classes are taught completely separately.
Then there was a question posed to Tim, which I think he has answered, about how many learners would need to be in the marine sciences class as an option, and Tim has responded with he'd be happy to go ahead with 1 or 2 pupils as a proof of concept. I know he's incredibly passionate about it.
We just got to make sure that he has enough hours in the day.
So if you wanted to take art and design, I'm assuming on the A-levels, do you need to take both art and design in grade 10?
The answer to that is no, you don't, but you should really be taking at least one of them. The art and design course does tend to lean more towards art than it does to design, although you can choose what you're going to specialize in. I would say, let me just see if Mr. Barnard is here. Maybe he can say a little bit more. Yes, he is here. I'm just going to allow Mr. Barnard to talk. Mr. Barnard, are you there?
Graham, I'm invigilating.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. I think the answer that I've given there probably covers it though, that you do not need to take both, certainly in grade 10. It is of advantage if you are taking one of them, and it doesn't have to be art or design specifically, but just know that the art and design course is more leaning towards art than design.
And the next question was about the results. Were they from DSG and college? And did you say everyone got A star in biology and maths?
No, not everybody got A star in biology and maths. That's definitely not true. Let me tell you what.
I think it was 2020, and I was teaching biology that year, and I think it was everybody got an A or an A star.
That's correct. An A or an A star was definitely right, and that was you. Well done, Petra. And that was DSG and college combined.
There's also a distinction, I think it's just an acronym thing. I have heard AS and A. What is the difference?
Okay, so the A level is a 2-year course. It is made up of the first half, which is AS level, and then the second half, which you can call A2, or the remainder of the A level. So they are combined to make a final A level mark, but the AS level, which is the first half, also stands alone as a qualification. So AS level is the first half of the A levels, A level is the complete thing.
Thank you. And is it an advantage if a student did Cambridge syllabus in the primary school classes? And can the school also advise on whether the student may be a good candidate or not?
Okay, well, firstly, with the Cambridge syllabus in primary schools is very, very different. In May, in primary schools have given you a little bit of a start on the way that Cambridge goes about learning, but it's not going to make much in the way of a difference compared to what our own students would have been doing. In terms of giving advice on whether a student is a good candidate or not, we are available to discuss that, absolutely. We also carefully look at all applications that we get, and we will certainly discuss that, particularly if we have any doubts about whether that student is a good candidate or not. We will certainly discuss that with the candidate and with their parents before we make a decision on that. But in the meantime, we're certainly available to have that discussion up front.
Okay, and then Tim has finally gotten back to us without having to verbally communicate while he's invigilating. Art and design is a wholly practical subject. There are high levels of technical competence required. And so I don't know if that answered any of the questions.
Yeah, excuse me. I think that does definitely answer the question in terms of needing to do art or design in grade 10. You would have to be doing those and probably have to be good at one of them as well. Well, sorry, you wouldn't have to do both. You'd have to be doing one of them, but you'd have to be good at that one.
What does IEB physical science entail as compared to taking A-level chemistry or physics? Then at this stage for A-levels, do you have to choose either physics or geography?
Okay, so IEB physical science is a combination of physics and chemistry. It is at quite a lot lower level overall than A-level physics or A-level chemistry because they are separate subjects. The AS level in chemistry and the AS level physics is probably even a slight step higher up in terms of complexity than the IEB physical science, because as I say, they're two subjects being taken as one. There is a big step up for chemistry or physics, and it does take a while for our pupils to reach that level, but we've had probably our best successes have been in the science subjects, chemistry, physics, and biology. Once our pupils get it, they absolutely fly in those subjects. And then at this stage for A-levels, do you have to choose either physics or geography? Physics will definitely be an option 6. If you are wanting to do geography as well, please put that onto your application form, and we will definitely consider whether we can move geography to accommodate that. We have to put these things into those 6 options to make them fit into our timetable. The geography and the history, because they're usually relatively small in terms of numbers, we are willing to move them around if it suits everybody who has applied for them. And there is usually space to move things slightly because there's a free period or an option that people are not taking built in as well.
And what is your recommendation if a pupil wants to do an undergrad in South Africa but a postgrad overseas?
I couldn't give you a general answer to that, unfortunately. You know, I think you would probably be safe. You wouldn't be making a mistake whether you did IEB or if you did A-levels. It really depends on the pupil. It depends on how well the pupil knows what they want to do and where their strengths lie. If you want to carry on with the IEB and do your 6 subjects and get into university the normal way in South Africa, that would be absolutely fine. Learning to study at a university will prepare you to do your postgrad overseas. If you are a strong student who is going to go and do your undergraduate at a university in South Africa, where the advantage of doing A-levels is that you are going in there better prepared, provided you're doing the subjects that you're going to be taking forward to university. So for example, if you're going to be following a sciences route and you are doing A-level physics and A-level chemistry, you're going to be in a very good position when you arrive at university because you'll have done most of first year already.
Okay, and this one is from Abigail Burton. And Abby, I know I've answered this question by email to you, but let's go again. If you are not planning on going to a South African university, can you drop your first additional language and take another subject in option 4, 5, and 6? And let me just clarify, for the rest of your IEB time, you can't drop the FEL, but until you start your A-levels, you can.
The answer is yes, absolutely you can. But you will, on your application form, you will need to sign the box that says you acknowledge you're not meeting South African university requirements, so you won't be able to go to a South African university.
Somebody's asking, who do we contact for the discussions for the school's input? I would imagine
that is in the email that I sent out. You could contact me as a first port of call. It is in the email that I sent out on Monday, so you should have that if you've got the link to the presentation.
Okay, then Isaac, I think it is, if a child's grade for a subject like POSA is low, but the rest of the grades are 70% or higher, will that POSA score be excluded from the computation of his average score? In other words, will the child be allowed to join the Cambridge program?
Isaac, we do look at every child's application individually, and we consider them all properly. If that child was not going to be doing a first additional language, in other words, if they were not going to try and convert from Xhosa to Zulu, then we would certainly consider that child. But if that Xhosa is relevant to anything that they're going to do on the A-level program, then we would be a lot stricter about that.
Okay, and would the school still offer a subject which is subscribed?
It would really depend on what subject it is, and it would depend on our capacity in terms of staffing. What we cannot do is offer a subject with 1 or 2 pupils, and as a result of that, have classes that are too big in an IEB subject. That's not fair to the children doing IEB. So it's really entirely dependent on the subject and how undersubscribed it is and what the effect of that is. The other situation there is if it is something like drama has a minimum requirement in terms of a number of pupils because there's so much group work involved. So in that case, we definitely wouldn't unless we met that minimum requirement.
Mr. Crease, do you need to have taken chemistry in grade 10 to take it in grade 11 AS?
Absolutely, yes.
So
I think you're going to be finding yourself climbing Mount Everest if you try and start chemistry in grade 11, having not done physical science in grade 10.
Is there an opportunity for subjects like IT to be featured in the curriculum?
We get asked about IT often. At the moment, IT, unfortunately, we only have one IT teacher at the school, and that IT teacher is fully loaded in terms of his teaching schedule. So we simply don't have the teaching capacity to offer IT. IT, however, is a subject that is not a prerequisite for any university or course anywhere in the world. So you don't need to be doing IT to go and study computer science in the UK, for example.
Okay, this is a BCom related question. Why isn't finance or accounting type subjects offered for students thinking about going into the BCom? And then, okay, do you want to answer that part first?
Let me answer that first. So very much the same reason as for IT. Accounting, we only have 2 teachers. They're fully loaded. We don't have the capacity to offer accounting. What we are offering now is economics, so that we do have a commerce subject that is on offer. And I would highly recommend that. As far as the commerce subjects that are offered by Cambridge, it is definitely the highest rated and the most accepted. The other reason that we don't offer any more commerce subjects is, again, they are not a prerequisite for any university or course anywhere in the world.
And then the part B of that question was the selection of subject choices are obviously critical. Is there a guideline on the types of undergraduate fields that specific subject combinations would open up, particularly for international universities?
There are definitely some suggestions for that. I would look at the recognitions database that I've mentioned in the links. That would tell you from Cambridge's side what's required for certain universities. There's also the link to the Russell Group in the UK, which tells you what's required for different university courses in the UK and particularly different fields. In terms of South Africa, all of those are also freely available, and I have shared links for that in the brochure that I've sent as well. I can also answer that question individually if there are particular things that you're asking about. And help you to find those.
Okay. Does college assist scholars with applications to South African and overseas universities? And I can say yes, absolutely, and I can say DSG too.
We certainly do assist as far as we can. We are a UCAS center, so we can do all the applications for UCAS for the UK through the school. We can do you can link us as a counselor, and we can do the Common App applications for you for the USA. We can help you with what is required for South African universities, and we have good contacts both at Cambridge and at a number of the universities who we can put you in contact with in South Africa if necessary. And we will help you with whatever you can. Doing your applications for universities remains your responsibility, but we will help you with everything that we possibly can. We also do recommend some outside companies. We bring Global Education in every year. Global Education does assist South African students with applying to overseas universities, and they have an incredibly good track record. And there's many more ways that we can help wherever we can. We do lots of references, lots of transcripts, all of those sort of things we will help with.
Okay, and I see Tim Barnard's hand is up, but I thought he was invigilating, so I don't know if he's taken his hand down. Okay.
Okay.
Is the extended maths an advantage?
The extended maths, I'm assuming you're talking about the further mathematics. That is an optional subject that people can do as a 4th subject in grade 12. We've had people do that every year and find a lot of success in it. It is an advantage for highly selective courses and highly selective universities, particularly overseas. It's not really an advantage in South Africa because A-level maths is already an advantage.
I think it's Steve. I'm looking. Please clarify, if one drops the first additional language in grade 12, does one still meet the requirements for South African university entrance under the IGCSE or grade 11 qualification? I'm talking AS level.
Yes, absolutely. The requirement is for an IGCSE in a second language. Once you have got that, you've got that. You don't have to carry on doing it in grade 12.
Just another Zoom user, do you need to have done EMS in grade 9 or business studies in grade 10 to do economics in grade 11?
Not necessarily. It would be helpful, but it's definitely not a requirement. I think your ability to reason clearly, you probably need to be at least decent in mathematics to do economics, but you don't have to have done EMS or business.
Circling back to extended maths, she meant extended maths program in grade 10. Would that be an advantage for the
Oh, I'm with you. Okay. Not necessarily. You will be fine if you have not been in that extended maths class, because it does not cover any of the content of the AS level program, and the AS level math starts from the beginning.
And then it looks like Terry Lee, and just is the A-level program more suitable for those wanting to study medicine or sciences, or is it also suitable for those who are intending an arts degree? It seems to be more aimed at the sciences.
We certainly have in the past found that it has suited the sciences kids in particular, just because the sciences are so defined. But the arts and the humanities and the commerce subjects on the A-levels program are absolutely superb as well, and they are highly recommended. They're highly sought after in the overseas. And if you were to go and choose to do English, maths, economics, and art and design or something like that, you would be doing some absolutely fantastic courses.
And from David, can you advise whether it's possible for students who have been accepted into A-levels to change their minds before they start formal A-levels at the end of term 3, i.e. continue with IEB?
Yes, so David, the way it works is that you will apply to you will apply for your child to join the A-levels program, and the deadline for applications is the end of this term. At the beginning of next term, we look at the exam results, we look at the child's profile in terms of their academic ability, their work ethic, their independent learning, and so on, and we will make decisions on whether we accept or don't accept applications. And at that point, we send you an offer for the A-level program, and it's at that point, which is only going to be just before things start in the middle of the third term, that you need to now make a decision which is binding in terms of whether your child carries on with A-levels or not. But up until that point, it's just an application.
Okay, and then there's a question about, could a child do accounting as an additional subject if the school didn't offer it?
No, we don't have anybody to do the accounting, and we wouldn't be comfortable with getting someone from outside who's not one of our staff members to teach an A-level subject, given how important it is in the future of that child. But just to re-emphasize again that accounting is a subject that is not a requirement anywhere in the world. There's no need to do accounting.
Okay, so I think I've reached, oh, sorry, there's a whole nother question and answer place. I've exhausted the chat.
Okay.
Sorry, everybody who's been in the Q&A session. How does it work for students joining the school in grade 11, January 2023, if the program already started in term 2, third term of 2022?
If there is someone who's planning to join the school in grade 11, the first thing I would suggest is to try and join in grade 10, third term if you can, not only to start the A-level program, but to go on the Fish River journey, which would integrate you wonderfully with the rest of the group. So that would be first prize. If that is not possible and you are only joining the school at the beginning of grade 11 in January 2023, we will provide all the resources that you need to make sure that you are able to catch up with the work that we've done before you arrive in January.
Okay, and what discussions have there been or will there be with students who are interested, or is that up to the parents?
So the students were invited to come to this presentation as well. And just like with the parents, I've invited pupils who are interested to come and speak to me. I will also actually follow up with pupils who I think will be interested, who I think should be interested, and speak to them personally as well. So we will definitely have those discussions with any pupils who want to have them as well.
Can you drop a subject later on in the term if you are not enjoying it?
We have had 1 or 2 changes in subjects in the past. Given how intense the subjects are on A levels, it is not an easy thing to pick up a different subject. Usually people who are dropping subjects are only dropping them because they're taking an extra subject already, or they don't need that subject. So you do need to choose your subjects very carefully going into A levels.
Are there any compulsory subjects in the A levels?
There are compulsory subjects, but they're compulsory mainly for those who are wanting to meet South African exemption requirements. So if you're wanting to meet those requirements, which is the standard route that we've got, you have to do English, you have to do a second language at IGCSE, and you have to do mathematics, and then you can choose any 2 other subjects from the 3 other options. If you are an overseas student who has no intention of studying in South Africa after school, then you can choose any 4 AS levels from the options that we offer.
Okay, Aidan Wood, what are the mark requirements for actuarial science if you want to go into a British university and or South African university? So becoming an actuary, sure, you have to have high marks, very high marks.
No matter what examination board you are writing through, you're going to need very good marks to do actuarial science. In South Africa, that's going to mean straight A's. For a British university, that's a very broad question because there's all sorts of different types of British universities, very good ones and quite average ones. For the top universities, you're probably looking at least 2 A stars and an A.
Okay, so it will depend on the university. So maybe go and look at their specific mark requirements. That would be the long and short of it. That is those questions. There seems to be one more. Please advise when one should go the chemistry route versus the physics route. So if somebody's wanting to choose between the 2.
That is going to depend quite heavily on where your child wants to go to university and what they want to study. If you are going to a South African university, it's probably advisable to take physics and chemistry because it covers all of the bases for physical science. It is university dependent. If you're ending up doing something in the sciences or engineering at UCT, you can get away with one or the other, probably physics more than chemistry. If you are going to Stellenbosch, all of their science and engineering faculties require both as an entry requirement. So it does depend on the university as well as the faculty that you're trying to get into. It's also depending on what you want to study afterwards. There are some, if you're wanting to do medicine, for example, overseas chemistry is a definite, physics is not. If you're doing it in South Africa, you definitely have to have both. It will depend on what you're wanting to study.
So, so it's a good idea to go and look at faculties and websites and university requirements of subjects and so on in general anyway. And then there's the Go Study portal, which will help you as well, or any other
Absolutely.
sort of career things that will push you and advise you. But we could certainly also look that up for you. What are the subject requirements for engineering? I know physics is one
Again, it's
of
a
them,
very, very broad question. It depends where you're studying it. It depends which engineering it is. In South Africa, I would recommend physics and chemistry for most of the engineering courses. Again, if you're going to UCT and you're doing civil engineering, you can probably get away without chemistry. But I would go and look at those entry requirements very, very carefully. If you're going overseas, again, it's going to depend on the type of engineering. If you're wanting to do chemical engineering, the requirements are going to be maths and chemistry. If you're wanting to do mechanical engineering, it's going to be physics and chemistry. Sorry, physics and maths.
It looks like mine engineering.
Mining engineering is probably leaning a little more towards chemical engineering, I would have thought. I would say, depending on where you're wanting to do it, I would lean towards physics and chemistry for that.
Okay, and then back to the chat. I know that we're getting to the end of the hour. With medicine in South Africa, it's hard to get into universities. So are A levels a disadvantage?
It's going to be hard no matter which route you're taking, to be brutally honest. So as I said, we did have Hayden John 2 years ago. He got accepted into UCT to do medicine based on his straight A's on A levels. He also got an offer overseas at the University of St. Andrews. It can be done, but I will tell you that if you're wanting to study medicine, you have to take 6 subjects in the AS level route. You have to do biology and physics and chemistry.
Okay, if a child wants to follow the accounting sciences as his or her career path, wouldn't that disadvantage them when they go to an overseas university?
No, it wouldn't, because nobody has to have done accounting to go to university and study it. You know, if you've got economics and you've got math, well, maths is actually the thing that they're going to look at first. For all commerce degrees, they look at maths, and in certain cases, they look at English. But they never look at your commerce subjects. They always look at those.
If you want to do a law degree, do you have to take history in A levels?
Again, it's not a prerequisite, but it would be recommended. I mean, having done history would definitely help you if the law is the direction you're wanting to go.
Will a student's academic ability be considered on the subjects chosen for A levels, or generally? I think you said generally and subject specific.
It would be both. It's going to be generally in terms of your aggregate, and also specifically in terms of the subjects that you're wanting to do for A levels.
Okay, what are
and I think I've answered. I can see the actuarial science question. I've already answered that.
Already. Okay. So I think that is looking like it's the end of the chat, but I must just refresh. I think that is all of those. And I think that's it, Mr. Crease, from the chat at least.
Perfect.
Oh, new message
something just flashed.
Did
I don't know what that means.
To what? I think it's a message that's incomplete. We'll give it a minute.
Yeah, that's fine.
English and
okay, that's a good question. So the English language and literature course that we offer in grade 11 is a combined course. The reason that we offer it as a combined course in grade 11 is because it's a prerequisite for South African university entrance to have done an English course. It also provides all of the foundations to do either English language or English literature as an A level in grade 12, but you certainly don't have to do both as A levels. You could choose one or the other or both in grade 12. But the combined course provides all of the foundations for both of those.
I think that seems to wrap up the chat. I think that was very informative. Thank you, Graham. I think you nailed almost all the questions, and you're very knowledgeable, obviously. So well done.
Thank you, Petra.
Nope,
there's a question here about computer science. If you want to study computer science at a South African university, is it then better to go IEB? It's still entirely up to you. If you want to study computer science at a South African university, you do not need to have IT. If it's something that you would want to have going in there, then I would suggest going with the IEB, but you can get into computer science without having done it as a high school subject, given that in many cases, schools don't offer it anyway. Okay. Maybe just to finish off, to say that I have sent you a lot of information. There is the A-Levels subject choice booklet, which has a description of all of the subjects that we offer and the way that everything works. So everything that I presented here is also in that booklet. We will make a recording, or we have made a recording of this presentation, which we will edit and share with you as soon as it's ready. There is also, on that email that I sent on Monday, a link to a survey. That survey is not in any way obliging you to do anything, but I would please ask you to go and fill in that survey. It'll take you 2 minutes. And that just gives us an idea of how many people are potentially interested in A-Levels for next year, and helps us a lot with our planning. So please, would you go and do the survey when you have a moment in the next couple of days. And then please get hold of me if you have any questions or you'd like to set up a meeting to discuss A-Levels further. All right. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. If that's it, have a very good evening.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.